It would seem that we're in a cyber war right now.
Well, I don't think we've ever not been in a cyber war, but it's just the intensity is definitely gone up.
And we seem to be on the losing side of that war because we
Uh,
failed to secure even, like, all our critical infrastructure, and month by month and increasingly week by week we seem to be so vulnerable.
yeah. Well, I think we seem to be more on the losing side. One of the big reasons is we have the largest surface area to attack. We're a very connected country. But you're right in terms of the security. If you look at just the Colonial Pipeline, just some basic cyber hygiene probably would have mitigated a lot of that, a lot of what happened there. As it's understood, the attackers came in using a reused password that was compromised on another site, and Colonial Pipeline wasn't employing what we call multi-factor authentication, which really should be the standard for everything. When you log into your bank and you receive a text message on your phone to continue the login process. So if somebody stole what you knew, your password, they still had to have something that you had, which is your telephone or your token, and that would have probably prevented even that attack from ever happening.
Cyber hygiene, that's a new one for me.
Hi. Mhm. It's used a lot now.
But I mean, this seems crazy that you get into, if you're a hacker, you can get into major infrastructure by compromising somebody's password. I mean, surely there are more layers to this than a password.
Well, to be quite honest, a lot of what the hacking is, I mean, we look at, if we're looking at the nation state type hacking or stuff that NSA would probably do, that involves a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of really, really strong savvy to do. When sometimes it's just easy to get somebody's password. It's way easier. If you can social engineer it out of somebody with a phone call or a spoofed email, you make them divulge that information. They open the door for you. And unfortunately, that's kind of how a lot of this works, because why should I do all the engineering? And if somebody discovers it, they can always patch it, when it's a lot easier to get somebody to open the door for me. And a lot of these hacks actually are done that way. Ransomware in particular right now.
The Russians seem to do this as an industry. I mean, what would you say about the accuracy of reports that come not only from the FBI, but the NSA and many others, that, first of all, that the election was hacked, and that GRU, Russian military intelligence, was involved in things like solar winds?
Well, in terms of the actual election hacking, I haven't seen anything where it was kind of a technical type hacking versus retrieving the emails of, back in 2016 of the DNC and the whatnot. That didn't need a lot of savvy to do. That was also social engineering. I believe John Podesta's emails, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, was stolen via spoofed email where he tried to verify his Google credentials. Uh, but in terms of Russia and the criminal side of things, especially with the ransomware attacks, which is something that we're really being overwhelmed with right now, uh, and the tolerance of the criminals within Russia, I've always seen that the line between probably organized crime or even crime in Russia and the Russian state is pretty blurry, and it's not a very solid or clearly delineated line. A lot of
But
tolerance
that's
there.
that's great for denial purposes from the Kremlin, because they can say, "Oh, they're
Absolutely.
criminals. It wasn't military intelligence, or it wasn't the FSB, or etc."
Absolutely. And that's where also using these lower technology techniques comes in, because if you're using something really high level, something, what we call, if you're coming in with what we call 0-day exploits, basically you find a vulnerability in a system that nobody else knows about. These are, we call them 0 days, where different systems, your antiviruses can't pick them up or anything else like that. You kind of associate those with very high level type hacker activity, or even nation state side. But if you want to kind of deny things, you kind of keep it on the lower level, and it works great. There's really, again, like I said, there's no reason to employ the crown jewels of your technical exploits when somebody could, again, just trick somebody into giving you a password, or using, again, a reused password across different platforms. I can compromise a password on one system, and if I know who the user is, and they work where I in a place that I'm targeting, I could just reuse that, because a lot of folks do reuse it. And again, if we're not using our multi-factor authentication, our text messages or tokens to come in, you're in the system.
I mean, this is all a form of hybrid warfare as well, in this kind of look surprised, act concerned, and deny everything.
Absolutely.